Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Our today's lecture will be on hazard analysis and critical control points, HACCP. So the HACCP system, which is a science-based and systematic system, it identifies specific hazards and measures for their control to ensure the safety of food. So HACCP is a tool to assess hazard and establish control systems that focus on prevention rather than relying mainly on the end product testing. So any HACCP system is capable of accommodating change such as advances in equipment design, processing procedures or technological development. So HACCP can be applied throughout the food chain from primary production to final consumption. Okay, so its implementation should be guided by scientific evidences of risk to human health, and as well as enhancing food safety. Implementation of HACCP can provide other significant benefits. And in addition to it, the application of HACCP system can aid inspection by regulatory authorities and promote international trade by increasing confidence in food safety. So yeah, HACCP is a management system in which food safety is addressed through the analysis and control of biological, chemical and physical hazards from raw material production, procurement and handling to manufacturing, distribution and consumption to the finished product. Okay. So today many of the world's best manufacturers and vendors are using this system as a basis of their food safety management program and for the compliance with GFSI audit schemes. So yeah, let us move to the next topic, that why HACCP is important. Okay. So proper implementation of a HACCP program helps reduce the likelihood of customer complaints or a recall by identifying and controlling potential hazards which may come from raw materials, facility processes and human error. Okay. So the greater employee awareness that results from a HACCP program helps to drive continual improvement of a company's products and processes. Additionally, the HACCP principles are in alignment with the requirements of the FDA's Food Safety Modernization Act FSMA rule for food processors. Okay, so hazard analysis and risk-based preventive controls. Okay, so although HACCP plan does not meet all of the requirements, but it meets the majority of the requirements, and it is the best platform from which to build a FSMA complaint management system. So building a HACCP system. So implementing a HACCP system requires that both pre-requesty program and HACCP plans are implemented. Okay, so pre-requesty programs are programs that are put in a place in the facility to control hazards in the environment, preventing contamination of the product. And pre-requesty program ensure a hygienic environment and good manufacturing processes for personal. Okay, so that to reduce the risk of contamination of food products. Secondly, HACCP plans are prepared for each process or product, and it identifies possible hazards and controls in a place to make sure that hazards are eliminated or controlled to ensure acceptable levels in the food product. So why do we use HACCP system? So it is to build awareness. Okay, awareness of foodborne illness. Okay, so yeah, awareness of foodborne illness is increasing and concern throughout the industry. So that is driving us to use the HACCP and HACCP based certification programs. So let us move to the most important topic, HACCP principles. So there are 7 HACCP principles. So let us start with the first principle. First principle is conduct a hazard analysis. So this is where you evaluate your processes and identify where hazards can be introduced. So yeah, hazards can be physical like metal contamination, can be chemical like can a cleaning product contaminate the product, or there are toxins that are contaminating the product. Okay, and biological, so yeah, bacteria, virus contaminating our product. So you will need to make sure that you have the expertise to make an accurate evaluation of these hazards. Okay, like physical, chemical and biological. So this means that if you don't have sufficient expertise in your organization, you will need to identify external resources that you can use to perform the hazard analysis. Okay, so the hazard identification is done in two steps. The first is the identification of hazards, then an evaluation of the hazard. Okay, so the hazard evaluation is a determination of the degree of risk to the user from the identified hazard. Okay, so once the hazard is identified and evaluated, the team must identify critical control points. So these are the points where the hazard must be controlled, or it will present a risk to the end user. Next principle of HACCP is identify the critical control points. Okay, so at what step in your process can control be applied to prevent or eliminate the hazards that have been identified? Okay, so these are your critical control points. For which critical control point you will identify the preventive measure. Okay, so how will you prevent the hazard? Use of specific temperature, pH, procedures, or anything else. So yeah, let us move to the next. Establish a maximum or minimum limit for temperature, time, pH, salt level, okay, chlorine level, or other processing characteristics that will control the hazard. So this is the critical control limit for the CCP. Okay, and if the limit is over exceeded, corrective actions must be taken and all affected product controlled. Okay, next principle is establishment of critical limits. So your next step is establish criteria for each critical control point. What critical must be met to control the hazards at the point. Okay, so next is establishing monitoring procedures. So what will you measure and how will you measure it? So you need to monitor the process at the critical control point and keep records to show that the critical limits have been met. Okay, so can you do continuous monitoring of the control point? If not, how often will the measurement need to be performed to show that the process is under control? So the answer is the monitoring takes place at the critical control point is essential to the effectiveness of the HACCP program. Okay, so the monitoring will be made up of physical measurements or observations that can be done in a timely manner. Okay, not continuously. So to provide the information in a time frame that allows you to take action and control product if an out of control situation occur. Next is establishment of corrective actions. So you will need to establish what actions there are needed to be taken if a critical control point is not met. Okay, if a critical control limit is not met. Okay, so this will be identified ahead of time for each CCP. So the action must make sure that no unsafe product is released. So there must be an evaluation of the process to determine the cause of the problem and the elimination of the cause. Okay, and the action or actions taken have two purposes, like to control any non-conforming product resulting from the loss of control and to identify the cause. Okay, so to identify the cause and to eliminate or prevent it. Okay, so by identifying the corrective action before an out of control situation occurs, you are prepared to take actions quickly if and when it does occur. Okay, next is establish record keeping procedures. So you will determine what records are needed to show that the critical limits have been met and the system is in control, and address regulatory requirements and include records from development of the system and the operation of the system. Okay, next and the last principle is establish verification procedures. So the HACCP plan must be validated. Once the plan is in place, make sure it is effective in preventing the hazard identified. Okay, so validation ensures that the plan do what they are designed to do. Okay, so these were the principles. Let us revise them. First is conduct a hazard analysis. Next is identifying the critical control point. Next is establishing critical limits for each critical control point, and then establishing critical control point monitoring requirement, then establishing corrective actions, then establishing procedures for ensuring the HACCP system is working as intended, and then last is establishing record keeping procedures. Okay. So the 7 HACCP principles are included in the international standard ISO 22000. So this standard is a complete food safety and quality management system incorporating the system of pre-requisite programs. Okay, so HACCP and the quality management system which together form an organization's total quality management system. Okay, so there are HACCP trainings also. So training for development and implementing HACCP food safety management system are offered by several quality assurance companies. Okay, so however, ASQ does not provide a trained HACCP auditor and exam to individuals seeking professional training. Okay, and now let us come to the applications of HACCP. So like HACCP saves you your business money in the long run. HACCP avoids you poisoning your customers. HACCP increases the food safety standard. It ensures you are compliant with the law. Okay, and food quality standards are increased by HACCP program. Okay, and it organizes your process to produce safe food. Okay. And yeah, the preliminary tasks in the development of HACCP plan are like first we need to assemble the HACCP team. Then we have to describe the food and its distributions and its composition to the team. Then we have to describe the intended use and the consumer of the food. Okay, and then we have to develop a flow diagram which describes the process of manufacturing of that flow diagram. Then we need to verify the flow diagram, the process we have to verify, like is there any chemical, physical or biological hazard included in it. Okay, then after these 5 preliminary tasks have been applied, okay, have been completed, then the 7 principles of HACCP are applied. Okay, we all know the principles, we have discussed it later. So yeah, we have completed our lecture here only. For any doubts you can comment in the comment section. Okay, thank you for watching and do visit our website, that is www.foodtechnetwork.in.